Yeah, I don't mean to assume this, but I'm guessing you're probably a little bit of a nerd too. So,
yeah, I also play Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm aware that you have a little game going with some other people in the industry, which is kind of cool, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So it's yeah. I mean, it's definitely it's definitely a really cool industry to be a part of these days.
Hi, Steven.
Hi.
Hi, Adam.
Hi, Audrey.
How are you, Audrey?
I'm doing well today. How are you guys?
Doing well.
Doing good.
Good. So, Steven, you are our guest for today. Tell us who you are and why you're here.
Okay, yeah, I can do that. My name is Steven Dunn. I am the eTools manager at OFS, furniture manufacturers located out of Huntingburg, Indiana, large metropolis, let me tell you.
Yeah, I was there later last year, and let me tell you, it's booming.
I've heard try the schnitzel, though. The schnitzel's good.
The Schnitzelbank up in Jasper, yep. It's the best.
Well, we're super excited to have you here, because we have some exciting things to talk about. One of the things we like to do at the beginning is like a rapid fire, getting to know you, fast decision making question and answer. So just to put you on the spot.
Okay. Rapid fire.
Yeah. So I'll ask the question and just whatever your gut says, that's what, just say it out loud. So first off, hot dog, sandwich or not sandwich?
Hot dog is a sandwich. Definitely. It's in bread.
Okay. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Best ice cream flavor?
Ooh. Ooh, gosh. I'm going to have to go with mint chocolate chip.
Okay, solid choice. Favorite non-English word?
Schadenfreude.
Ooh, what does that mean?
I know what that one is.
Happiness.
Oh,
it's happiness at the misfortune of others.
Oh, oh my gosh. Yeah. I just heard happiness first and I was like, oh, that's so nice. And then I was like, oh, okay. Steven's got it dark.
It's happiness at the misfortune of others. So in other words, you see somebody eating their ice cream cone and it falls on the ground and you start laughing, Schadenfreude. And I'll be honest with you, I learned that word simply from a musical called Avenue Q. So.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I don't know that one as well as other ones, but now I'll have to go check that one out. But
that is one of the ones Lauren keeps telling me to watch, to get me to like musicals.
Yeah, you would probably like it.
It's hilarious. Yeah, absolutely hilarious.
Definitely content warnings for people thinking about bringing their kids. But so read the summary before you go. But okay, as the person who's working with the eTools team, tell us a little bit about the process of how you guys develop the OFS extension and digital tools for your users and your customers in general. What does that process look like?
Yeah, the process, it all depends on, what we're working on, right? So, let's say, for example, that we have a new product line coming out. Well, we work with the marketing teams. We work with the product development team, engineering, just to collaborate and make sure that we're all on the same page. Making sure, cause we also do the data as well as the drawings. Mm-hmm. And then of course we take that data and drawing information and hand it off to the internal developers to actually do the extension. So from the backside of things, we're really coordinating and working together to make sure that we have options in the orders that we need them to be able to graphically show, changes that happen, things of that nature. Then we pass that along to the development team and say, okay, here's this product line, this new product line. It's case goods or it's seating or whatever the case may be. And we work with them to create then that extension and work with marketing side too. We have some designers who work on like our, statement of line or, how else you might want to call it. We call it statement of line, building blocks, those types of things that show all the different components for a product line. And they'll work on that information on how pieces and stuff go together. So they also work with the developers to say, hey, these things snap together in this, fashion. And so it's a large collaboration. There's a lot of communication happening here, at OFS, between all the different departments. And I mean, that's one of the key elements, I think, for the successes that we have is communication.
Super. So now tell us a little bit about how did you end up where you are today?
How much time do we have? Because that could take a while. No, I'm kidding. So when I graduated high school, I actually started working for. I'm going to try and give you a broad, quick, thing here, but I started working for Hendrickson Butler out in Salt Lake City. Hendrickson Butler at the time was Office Pavilion, which was a Herman Miller dealership. And so that's where I really got my toes in the water working in office furniture. And after I graduated college, I went into aerospace for a little while and ended up getting laid off from working on rockets, which was a bummer, but working with NASA, things like that. It was a really cool job, but I had my choice between I lived at the time lived in Salt Lake. I had a choice between going to Denver for 6 months to work for Lockheed and continue my aerospace, or come to Jasper, Indiana to work for Kimball for 2 weeks. And so I thought, well, I'll take the 2-week job. And if I get home and there's still nothing in Salt Lake, then maybe I'll take the Denver job for 6 months. And that was kind of the thought process going through my mind. And I came out to Jasper, Indiana, worked for Kimball for 2 weeks and just fell in love with the people, fell in love with the community, the company, things like that. And they offered me a full-time
Schnitzelbank.
The Schnitzelbank, yeah. So I ended up getting a job offer and just the right things just fell in place. And 3 weeks later, I left Salt Lake and moved to Indiana, and I've been now in Indiana since '97.
Okay.
28 years, and left Kimball in 2006, came to OFS. I've been at OFS now for 19 years. I just had my 19th anniversary. Mm-hmm. When I was at Kimball, I worked in engineering for a while and then eventually moved into eTools. It was kind of a natural progression. I have a theater background.
Heck yeah.
It's not like a professional theater, but community theater and just, I like getting in front of people and performing and things. And so in eTools there, I was getting up and going out and doing training. I was in front of people a lot, things like that. And it was just a natural thing for me. And here at OFS, when the one and only guy they had doing drawings and things for eTools was getting ready to retire, they asked me to step in. And so I did. I left engineering and went into eTools, and I've been in eTools ever since. It's been 13 years now in doing eTools. So, and it was just, again, kind of a natural progression for me. We got involved with Configura in 2014 and been getting up in front of people, at the user conference or CT experience now for, the last 10 years. So
yeah,
a lot of our upcoming guests are actually speaking at the conference. Steven, I don't know if you wanted to take some time to plug it, but I know we're going to have an episode about experience coming up too. Mm-hmm. If you don't, that's fine. But I figured I'd give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about what your guys' sponsor session is going to be about, if you already know.
Sure. Our sponsor session is really going to be about the tools that OFS is providing, new enhancements that we have to products that are coming and happening this fall as well. And we've got some like I said, tools that are new, that are kind of exciting, that have not been talked about or released yet. So I can't really tell what that is.
Nice.
But we're gonna highlight some new functionality, I think, for users that they're really gonna love.
Awesome. Yeah, and I know that the sessions for OFS are really well regarded too. I know the users that go to those sessions tend to leave with a really positive experience. So whatever you're saying, Steven, is obviously working. So
whatever we're doing is, yeah, it's always funny because you guys probably know this story, but it used to be where, depending where we were, Herman Miller was right next door to us. And, during our sessions. And so I would always tease the group, hey, if you see something you like, make sure you make a lot of noise because they'll hear it next door, so, and I would get people to do that every year. And, and inevitably, Dick and Paul would come over and say, okay, what are you showing? What are you doing? Why is everybody screaming?
That's so funny.
That's always fun when we get to play with one another like that. I think that's one of the great things about the experience and also some other collaboration that we've done with other manufacturers. And I really think over the last 10 years, seeing manufacturers actually start talking to one another and getting together and working together has just been a phenomenal thing for the community, you know?
Yeah, because in the end, when you guys talk to each other as the manufacturers, it's a better experience for the users.
100%. Yeah.
Across the board. And that's better for everybody. So
right.
I think it's great.
You'd mentioned earlier that you kind of fell in love with the furniture industry. Was that collaborative nature like part of the thing that interested you so much in staying with it and keeping this job over, you know, going back to rockets and stuff?
Really, no, because the collaboration is just something that's been happening over the last, like I said, 10 years. Now, collaboration with dealerships, collaboration with, you know, the sales folks and stuff. Yes, that has always been something I've loved. Whereas in aerospace, you know, I was, you know, just doing drawings all day long, from an engineering standpoint. And so, I think getting the opportunity to work with people is what really keeps me where I'm at, right? Because I love talking to people. I love meeting new people and talking about, you know, the experiences that we can give them with our furniture and with the, CET, you know, extension. Yeah. It's really captured my interest and kept me going. I mean, I'm close to, you know, 30 years now in the industry. So there's something that's kept me instead of going back to aerospace.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of catches you. Hard to get out.
Yeah. Because it's funny because once you get that bug and you come back to it, it seems like everybody comes back to it eventually. Right.
Right. You try to get away and then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I didn't know you had an engineering background. So you and Adam both have a science-y background. You guys can bond over that.
That explains a lot, yeah.
Well, there's probably other things too, because, you know, Adam, I don't mean to, you know.
To assume?
Yeah, I mean to assume this, but I'm guessing you're probably a little bit of a nerd too, so.
Yeah, I also play Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm aware that you have a little game going with some other people in the industry, which is kind of cool, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely a really cool industry to be a part of these days.
Yeah, again, the industry, the community or ecosystem, whatever we want to call it, is all very tightly knit. Because that's some of our colleagues at Configura who have worked on the OFS extension with you over the years. And so I think that's another perfect example of like collaborating and connecting and how somehow furniture is a people thing, you know, like you don't think about that maybe on the outside.
Yeah.
Come for the furniture, stay for the people.
Exactly. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys can purchase that from me, TM, and use it in your marketing.
Well, you know, Hank actually has a saying that we have out here in our corporate office building when you walk in the building that says, how you make people feel is more important than what you make. That is something that we really take to heart. You know, how are we making the people that we're dealing with on a daily basis, how are we making them feel? You know, that is much more important to us than making this chair, making this phone booth that I'm sitting in, making these different products and selling them. You know, we want to make sure that the people feel like they're the most important person.
Yeah.
That's actually, we've taken that to heart with our extension, right? Everything that we do within our extension is really about what does the designer need? How can I help that designer speed up their daily processes? How can I help that designer to, more quickly and easily find the things that they're looking for? I mean, it's just, you know, that's the most important thing to me as the manager of the eTools team, is to really look at the things that I can do to make the people that use our extension feel like they're the most important person using an extension.
I love that. I love that so much because, yeah, there's so much we can do on a technical and creative level. Like, oh, look what we can build. But is it really built for those end users? Like, is it meant to make their days better? And is it focused around those needs versus just like, look how cool I can make this new tool?
Yeah.
So what are some of the ways that you do engage and listen to those users and find out what will make them feel like this is built just for them?
Oh, 100%. So one of the biggest ways that I did that in the very beginning is when we were going out, or I was going out and doing training at dealerships. In 2019, I probably was on the road 45% of my work year.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a
That's
lot.
exhausting.
Yeah. I'm like, it was almost every other week that I was on the road, and I would get in front of dealerships all over the country. And the best thing about that experience wasn't, getting in front of them, showing them our extension, showing them, how to place, stacks appropriately or whatever. Mm-hmm. It was the listening. It was the getting the feedback. I'll give you a small example of that. I was in Nebraska doing training, and our developer at the time, we'd been working on our double click feature. It was a feature that we had in Mile Marker, which was our first extension we came out with. And we decided to start incorporating that double click feature into other products. For example, a conference table.
And what does the double click feature do?
It actually is we call it the configuration tool. So a double click, for example, if I place a conference top, I can double click on the conference top, and it will show me all the different bases that are available for that conference top. Mm-hmm. The different wood bases, panel bases, metal bases, just whatever is available for that top. And of course it changes with each one, right? Because a smaller, like say a 96 by 36 top has a couple different options there that we can't do on the larger tops, right? So he was working on the double click feature, but for seating, for example, there were some different things like adding arms or, going from a mid back to a high back, those types of things. And so I was showing this, I had my developer, version, and I was showing the designers that I was training. And one of the designers, because I showed them that you could, in the image that appears, there's a little green arrow. You click on that green arrow, you can click on all the different chairs that you want to change. Say, I want arms on all these chairs. Well, if I've got 50 of these chairs, clicking 50 times is a major pain. Uh-huh. And she made the suggestion, well, that's really nice, but it'd be great if I could just double click that green arrow and have it apply to all the chairs. And I was like, whoa. That's a great idea. And so the next morning I was in the airport and I typed up an email to the developer and said, hey, this was an idea that the designer had in my session yesterday. Maybe, you could look into incorporating this, before the release. I don't know how hard that will be or difficult it will be. And I was on the plane to Florida. So I flew down to Florida. By the time I landed in Florida, it was fixed. It was done.
Nice.
And I was able to reach back out to that designer and say, hey, just want to let you know your idea was fantastic. We've actually got it working already and will be in the release. So you'll be able to double click that green arrow and apply it to everything.
The user's going to be like, I want to sell all your furniture all the time.
Right. And so that's my big secret. Really, it's not a secret. I listen. And if a designer comes to us with an idea, a feature request, if you will, I'm going to take that feature request, that idea, and I'm going to take it to the developers and say, what can we do to make this happen? Mm-hmm. I will say, I don't know, 85, 90% of the time we make it happen. Maybe not exactly the way that they wanted to, but in a way that it makes sense for us to do it. Another example, we have a focus group where we meet once a quarter, and it's 5 different designers from different dealerships across the country. And we just present them with things that we're working on, ideas that we've had. What can we do to improve these ideas? Or maybe you come to us with something. Have you thought about, I'll send them some questions ahead of time and say, hey, what can we do to make these processes better and things? And, I was showing one of the tools, and one of the people on there is like, it'd be really nice because we have some product that is in case goods, but it's also in seating, or it's also in, tops, I'm trying to think, like a magazine table or a occasional table, right? Mm-hmm. But so Rowan is a product line that has case goods, it has, seating, and it has occasional tables. So it's in 3 different locations and 3 different extensions. And so I put in a Rowan bench. I would like to see the rest of the Rowan product. Mm-hmm. Be nice if I could just right click on it and say, show me the family. It's like, it's a great idea. So we implemented that. Now you can right click on a product, say show family, and adds it to our search tool and shows all of the different products that belong to that family. Just those simple things, just listening is, I think, what's really worked well for us. Listening and implementing what we can.
You're warming my heart as a researcher. But I have a tough question for you, Steven. You're talking about, if a user comes with an idea, you're like, love that, let's implement it. Have you ever run into where, okay, we've got this idea, but how do we know it will benefit or affect other users besides the person who brought it up? Because I know we run into that where someone will suggest something and it sounds like a great idea. We'll implement it based on one person's feedback. And then sometimes that's great and everybody loves it. And sometimes people will be like, why did you change that? It was working just fine. So do you have any processes or horror stories or anything about things like that happening?
I won't say any horror stories, but yeah, I mean, we've definitely had some things where somebody has wanted to change something and we've gone and we've done it and we don't release it right away, right? We actually will run it past the designers that we have here internally. So OFS does have a design specification team that works on OFS and Carolina product. We normally will create, whenever we're doing a tool, we'll create a beta and we'll have them work with that beta. Is this working? Is this really, something that you see is a good thing, a good fit? And there have been times where they've just said, no, this is actually making my process slower. And so we'll go back and we'll revisit it. Okay, what can we do to improve on it? And that's why I said earlier too, though, that we may come out with a solution, but it might not be exactly what the user asked for. Right. So we make those changes, but there's definitely been times where we've reached back out to that person, the designer, and said, we worked on this, we implemented it, we tested it, and it's actually, a slower process. It's not really, I think, beneficial. And even give them beta access to try it. And get feedback, so
kind of like our podcasting adventure. Sometimes we have a better idea than actually it pans out and it's not so great.
Well, I should get you in touch with our production team.
We chatted with Alexandra the other day, who does, work with OFS and podcasting, and she has her own design pop and her own podcast and stuff, and she had great advice actually about all kinds of things. So that was great. So the more advice, the better.
Yeah. I don't know how many, so Imagine in Place Productions, I don't know how many actual podcasts they're up to now.
Okay.
But Design Pop is one of them, right?
Yes.
And while it is an OFS, production company, it's not all about OFS. We've had Cheryl Durst on there, obviously, and I think she's from Han. So, just different folks on there. And it's, in fact, the Imagine a Place podcast itself rarely talks about, OFS furniture. It's usually about, design and design intent and just all different kinds of things just different ways of mentally preparing, your day and things like that too. So they have all different kinds of stuff. It's great.
One of the things I actually wanted to ask, Steven, because we're kind of looking at this world, or at least I'm seeing a world that's newer to me, which is getting more in the mind of someone who's in your position. Like you're queuing for an extension, you're putting the effort in, you're trying to make sure the things get done that want to get done. And one of the things that I'm finding is a complicated piece of that puzzle is the business needs something, the user needs something, and maybe those two things aren't the same. How do you balance that? How do you get to to where you can make something a positive experience for the user, but still balance what, OFS needs?
That's an excellent question. I mean, we obviously, do care about the designer, do care about, what the end user experience is going to be, but we also do have to take into consideration what's happening within the industry, what's happening within OFS itself. And so there are those times where, we do have to put OFS first, in something. And it's hard to balance that out, but I have found that if I'm being honest with the designers I'm working with, for example, that's all they really care about. And so if we communicate, again, going back to what I said earlier about communication, if we communicate with them, keep them in the loop of what's happening and maybe why we're not doing something, or if we're going to do something, but it's going to be delayed, et cetera. I found that if you're communicating, you're open, you're honest, the large majority of the people are happy with that. You know, they're good with what you're doing. To give you an example, we, last year at the conference, we had a suggestion that came to us from a feature request standpoint. And at the time we were working on changing mile marker to mile marker generation 2, G2. We are now working with, IMOS and doing a completely, automated process for that product line.
And what is IMOS, if you can share with us?
IMOS is a software. It's like an I'll say maybe an engineering software where the engineers have gone in and they've designed the product inside of IMOS, and they actually can give it rules to say, if I've got a 12-inch cabinet and I stretch to 36 inches, how many more of these screws need to be in there, or brackets, or those types of things, those types of rules that they put in there.
And that goes into like the actual production and physical building.
Yep. So, and by stretching it, changing the sizes, et cetera, then your screw holes and those things are changing. So IMOS will change the drawings, the CNC drawings that are going to go to the machine so that the machine can cut it correctly, and they can cut it and it can put in all the holes and all those types of things. We have an automated machine that does that. So that was our main focus. We had to get that working correctly. And so this person at the conference had made some suggestions and we had them send them in. You can come and talk to me at the conference, but please make sure you send in the eTools at ofs.com, what your feature request was, because I talked to so many people at the conference. I will not remember it, right?
You know what you need, Steven? I keep seeing these ads for like, and it kind of freaks me out, but it's like your own personal AI assistant you wear. And it like records your conversations and gives you like a summary of stuff.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you can just take it. So that's what you need at the conference. At least short term, just for
maybe
that.
Maybe I should get those glasses that do that, right? The meta glasses. Mm-hmm. So I told the person, I said, hey, make sure you send an email in. Well, we finished my marker G2 and had some things that we needed to fix along the way. And here we are in July, and I was able to actually email her. I think last week I emailed her a little video of the feature that she asked for, and we're coming out with the feature and we're enhancing it even more. So that feature is actually coming out tomorrow, and then we're enhancing it even more. And it's what I'm waiting for the enhancements to come through for maybe a submission in for the awards this year. But, I just think that being open, being honest, and talking to that person and just saying, hey, we're working on it, but this is more important for us at the moment. We need to get this done first.
Yeah.
And I feel, hopefully, Adam, I've answered your question, but that's what I feel, communication is a big thing. Just make sure you continue to talk to, everyone involved, right?
Yeah. No, I think it's an excellent answer, especially because like there's so many people I think that get in a position sort of like yours and feel so intimidated by it right at first, and I think that it's really good to hear like, just communicating to the users might be a relief to them, because like, sometimes the gut reaction is like, ooh, I don't want to make them mad. Ooh, I don't want to tell them this thing and disappoint them sort of thing. But people live with disappointment. What they don't live with, I find, is no information at all.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
One other thing on that one, Steven, if you could go back in like, imagine like I can give you a way to send an email to Steven Dunn 13, 14 years ago when you first kind of took on this role. What would you have told that person? Like, what would be like the number one thing you'd want to say to yourself?
Oh, that is a great question. Let's see, 13, 14 years ago. I think from a business standpoint, gosh, probably along the lines of making sure you listen. But also, 13 years ago, I was a little bit more reactive than I am now. And I think I would really talk to myself about that, about not necessarily reacting to something that's happening, but actually listen and soak it in and think about how you want to respond to it before you actually respond. That's something that I didn't do well early on as the eTools manager. And over time, I've really come to learn that it's most important to listen and really think and soak in, because you may not understand exactly what somebody's saying right away either, right?
Yeah.
You may take it differently, especially if it's coming through, textually, if it's coming through in an email or coming through in a message, something like that, and I found that even responding to people, I'm hearing it in my head how I mean it, but when they read it, it's completely different, right?
Yeah.
You're like, how did you not understand?
Yeah. How did you not hear my giggles in my head, And I put a smiley face at the end of it,
Yeah. That wasn't a passive aggressive emoji.
Yeah. And so I think that is probably what I would want to talk to myself about, is just listening. Don't be reactive, and just make sure that you're communicating well, that, what you're communicating isn't going to come across negatively to somebody, or they couldn't take it negatively.
One of the attitudes I learned from somebody, and I think they're relevant to this conversation because, Paul, we talked about earlier, but one of the things that I think he's really great about is that whenever someone brings up an issue, if your gut reaction is to like, oh, well, that's not a problem, or, oh, that's not something, you dig in and you find that there is something here. It doesn't matter what it is. It may not be the thing they communicated, but there is an issue if they're upset. Yeah. And you got to figure out what it is they're upset about. They may not be telling you exactly what they're upset about, or they may not recognize it for themselves, but there is a problem and you should be listening. So, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's so true. And I think that goes both ways of like you said, Steven, don't react. Like if someone says, I hate this, don't just automatically go fix it.
Right.
But think about it, ask more questions, clarify, and also don't just dismiss it. Like, well, you just don't know something. Sometimes it is like hey, did you know you can blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, that solves all my problems. Thank you.
Yes. I've had that.
But yeah, like what is the actual issue?
Yeah. And that's something, we work every single day in, we use a tool called Freshdesk, but all the emails that come in to eTools go directly into Freshdesk, and the whole entire team can look at the tickets that come in and work on them, et cetera. And that's one thing I'm very proud of my team. They have done an amazing job of getting responses. I think our average, receiving to close time is something like maybe 2 hours at the most to actually closing the ticket. There's a lot of times where I have to be honest, where we've answered it and they say, okay, that fixed it, but we forget to close it right away, right? I mean, it's like 10 minutes, boom, we're done. But, we go back an hour later or 2 hours later and look and go, oh shoot, I should close these tickets out, right? But, so that kind of ruins our average a little bit, I think. But seriously though, I mean, it's important to really listen. You mentioned something, we have somebody who is negative a lot. And this dealer designer is always negative. And I have found with that person that if I listen, if I okay, can you, I understand you're upset. So I understand there's something going on. Can you explain to me in detail the issue that you're having? Mm-hmm. And I'll see what I can do to make it better. Right. And once we get past that negativity, once we get past that part that they're irate about, and you get to the heart of it, you find where the issue is and you fix it, or you already have a solution. This may not be the easiest solution, but here's what you can do to get past that. And I found, a lot of times they'll say, here, try this method. And then I never hear back from that person on that issue.
They're not going to tell you that.
They're not going to tell you, oh, that worked. I'll add that to my process. Thank you. No, they just, oh, okay, well, fine. So yeah. The negativity happens. I mean, it happens everywhere, right? So I think it's just important to, I keep saying it, listen, but not just listen, but try to understand. And I think that kind of goes back to what I was saying about, being less reactive. Try to actually understand what is the issue that this person's upset about.
That's tough. It's hard with the negativity, but I think on both sides, it's so important to remember it's a person you're talking to. Of course, for the angry person, they can maybe do a better job of remembering, I'm sending this email to a person who's just trying to do their job.
Right.
And then also I think it's easy when you get an angry email to dismiss it because you're just angry, and that disqualifies the validity of what you're saying. Sure. And that's not always true. And that person is probably just really overworked, and not to justify being mean ever, never be mean, people. ridiculous.
It doesn't,
But like,
it doesn't get you anywhere, you know?
but like the frustration is valid, and they're probably getting yelled at by their boss, and their salespeople are throwing more at them. And
Sure.
so I think that it's great that you are like, you're angry, but let me still give you my ear.
Right.
And, not physically, but, but like, listen, and what is your problem? Because there are, I'm sure, like for every ticket that you or we get at Configura, like most likely there's a lot of other people frustrated with it, but they're not able to take the time to send it in. So, yeah.
I think that's part of too why I really miss, because when COVID happened, traveling stopped, and now I maybe travel 1% of my, time. So it's really a significant change. But, I think though that I'm missing that portion of it. That's why I love the experience, because I do get to talk to those people. I do get to hear directly from them face to face. And so those opportunities that happen to allow me to be face to face. And speaking of that one that's negative, I've actually been to the dealership and worked face to face with them as well. And I think that those types of things help. In fact, we're actually talking about, maybe sending me out, not necessarily to go out and do training, but more do a dealer visit.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go sit with a dealer and look at their day-to-day activity with OFS product, and what can I do to enhance that, to make it better?
Absolutely. Come join us. We're trying to do more of those visits as well, and we want to partner with people. So
absolutely.
We'll tag you along and let us know if you ever want us to join, if you have something set up too. So
I mean, I would love to do more of that. Yeah. I think it's important. I think that's where we get the most information from folks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it is about not sending emails, I think people,
I know what it is. Emails are the worst.
they're super busy, right? Let's be honest.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Everybody's super busy.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because you guys created a software that really speeds up the process for folks, and they're just more busy.
Yeah.
All right. It's like, I'm doing this faster, but now I've got more to add on top of it. So it's kind of a
people have higher expectations.
Yeah.
I wish we could tell designers like, okay, we made this new feature that makes it 10 times faster, but don't tell your boss.
Yeah.
Don't tell your boss it's so much faster, because they're going to then again quadruple the expectations on you.
Get the job done, and then go back and just refine it, and then look at Facebook for a half an hour before you turn it in.
And then go, exactly. And then go home on time.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't have to work late anymore. Yeah. Or take my laptop home. I get it.
Right. Yeah.
But, I mean, it's a wonderful industry. I think it's kind of funny, aerospace. I always tease people, aerospace is an up and down industry, pun intended. And with everything that Elon Musk has been doing with SpaceX, and it's just like, oh gosh, that'd be so cool to be involved with that. But I wouldn't get the interaction I think that I get with the people today. And that's what is, I think, more beneficial to my soul and my heart than to being a part of, the space program. Yeah. I just love working with the designers and the folks in the field, the sales reps, and again, going back to some of our earlier communication, working with our competitors. So like I tell them, our sales side of things, yes, we're competing, but when it comes to what we're doing in CET and trying to collaborate to make things more consistent within the tool itself, that's not a competitive thing. That's let's help each other to help the designers, right? We really need to help the designers.
Yeah. I went on, I think, 12 visits last year, which was exhausting, all like in 3 months.
Wow. Yeah. That was fast.
And there are very few things that are like universal truths that we learn. People like to claim, oh, everybody thinks that or nobody likes that. And that's rarely true. But the one thing that every person that I talk to agrees on is that if an extension is difficult to specify, or if product isn't in CET, if the dealer designers have their way, they're not going to specify it. The only reason they do is if they have a salesperson or like an A&D designer telling them they have to. Right. But if they have their choice, which more and more dealerships do have more say in what's getting sold, they're not going to do it. And so I think it's a great opportunity for other manufacturers that who have this great extension that people truly love a lot, that you're like, yeah, let's make it easier for people. Like, I think that's a great opportunity for the other manufacturers to be like, okay, this guy wants to share. Like, yes, please.
And we've done that.
Yeah.
We've collaborated with Miller Knoll. We've collaborated with Steelcase, even Hayworth. I mean, every time that we're together, whether it's a partner meeting or if it's, the user conference, I'm sorry, it'll always be the user conference. I know it's expensive.
That's okay.
It's always user conference to me. But, anytime we're together like that, Adam Markolitis and I we'll sit down and have conversations. We'll talk, and he's always given me some great insight. And I mean, he's open to helping, and I think that's just refreshing. That's just a great thing from a community standpoint, right?
Yeah. And that's why I'm in UX and not in sales. I have such a hard time with the competitiveness of sales and all of that and the numbers. I'm just like, can we just all get along and make our users happy? So
let's get together and sing Kumbaya and just get along.
Yeah. Please. Yeah. I think you and I have that same people person drive, let's make the users feel special. And I think if I work on a tool, I want at the end of the day for a designer to feel like this was made for me.
Right.
Right. Maybe I didn't have a say in this particular project. We do have our feedback community, which participates in a lot of our studies and gives feedback. And we're always trying to grow that. But maybe somebody wasn't aware of the feedback community or didn't have time to participate in that. But I want them to feel like, wow, how did Configura know that that's exactly what I needed? And if we're listening, that's how we know.
100%.
And making the decisions based on their needs. So I think it's great.
Yep.
And, like you said, so you have some stuff you're thinking about submitting for the awards at Experience. And there's, of course, the rendering awards that users can submit, look at this amazing video I made. And then we have the manufacturer.
Innovative extension.
Yeah. And I think that's honestly, it's cool to see the renderings that people can do. It's really impressive. But I think the more exciting thing is seeing those innovative extension submissions, because it is a lot of look what we're doing for our users and look how we can improve your lives. And so that was really cool last year, seeing some of the ones you guys did. One of the submissions, I know H and I did one of them as well. And it was all really cool stuff. And I was like, dang it, I wish we had done that.
Yeah.
But really cool stuff.
Yep.
Nerd alert!
Welcome to Nerd Alert. Today, our question is, what is the difference between catalog data and extension data?
Okay, so, oh, wait, she didn't start the timer.
Oh, that's a very good point. We do not want you to get too long on this. Okay, ready, set, go.
So, this actually has to do a little bit with the history of CET. So, when CET first came out, the CET actually stands for Configura Extension Technology. Our old platform we actually refer to internally as Configura Classic. And that platform didn't have extensions. You actually had one manufacturer's stuff inside your thing. So extensions were the hot new thing, the cool new thing. And as a end user, you would just download an entire extension all at once. But that actually has some problems. And the biggest issue is that if you need to update pricing, if you need to update colors or that sort of thing, you have to ship an entire extension. And just making one of our bigger extensions, I happen to know takes 45 minutes to an hour. That's all the code is done and you just push the button to send it to somebody and that's how long it takes. So an extension is basically a pile of code that is written. And it can be other things too, but let's just keep it to that for now, just to make people feel a little.
This is a nerd alert, not a nerd party.
That's right. And some of the older extensions on our platform actually still utilize hand-drawn graphics, telling each triangle where to live that you actually look at. And then we decided that's crazy inefficient. So we actually said, what if the product data, the graphics and the swatches and materials and pricing could all be part of its own system that the other information could leverage to use? So that is actually what makes it catalog data.
30 seconds.
Catalog data is actually getting really complicated. And one of the things that is historically true about catalog data that is no longer true is there's a term that we throw around called PGC, which we definitely need to talk about, but I'm so scared to do a nerd alert about it because the owners of the company might come after me. But essentially the ability to stretch things and that sort of thing has been inserted into Catalog Creator since I've been at Configura, which actually makes it so it's really hard to determine if something is written programmatically or if something just comes straight out of the catalog data. So that's the difference. Nice. Look at that.
Nice. You finished your sentence and everything.
I know.
Amazing. Hi, Steven.
Hi. I love that.
Nice. I know that we're kind of out of time, but we do have one more question that we usually ask our guests, which is, sure. Steven, if you could have anybody on the podcast, and it can be anybody, dead, living, ridiculously hard to get, super easy to get, who would you pick?
Ooh, that's a great question. There's so many people alive and dead that would be, great. Oh gosh. I would probably say George Lucas.
Nice.
Okay.
I like that one.
We might get sued because he might find out that we have all our internal code names are Star Wars things, but
you can't sue us anymore. He doesn't own it.
You're not publishing that though. You're fine,
No.
Exactly. That's an internal thing. No, I'm a huge George Lucas fan, and I just think that he would be interesting to listen to when it comes to like ILM and Skywalker Ranch and just the things that he's done. And
ILM is
Industrial Light and Magic.
And that's their like production studio.
Yeah, Industrial Light and Magic. ILM, Industrial Light and Magic. So they're responsible for a lot of the visual effects and sound effects and things that you see within movies these days. They're one of the top, contributors to that. So, I just think it'd be a really interesting podcast to listen to.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that I would say, but just from a technical, really getting into the mindset, plus, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. So
yeah, that surprises me. Absolutely not at all. I went to your house because I was with Paul and Catherine and Jasper. And so they had to see the kids. And I have a picture with the full size stormtrooper in your basement. It kind of scared me because it's like an animatronic, but I was like, this is kind of cool.
Yeah. Adam, I have a 6-foot tall stormtrooper in my basement that its head moves and he talks and yeah.
That's incredible.
It sounds like Christmas stuff, right? Like holiday greetings and stuff.
Yeah, it's a holiday.
All right, well, we'll do our best to get George on the podcast.
Yeah, we'll make non-zero effort.
There's probably a hologram of him, right?
Yeah.
Thanks for the tip, Steven. And thank you so much for the conversation. I think we could probably talk to you for probably 2 or 3 more hours, but
yeah,
right.
Let's do it. No, maybe we'll just have to do this again with some different questions next time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's been an absolute joy talking to you guys and, look forward to seeing you in person in October.
Heck yeah.
See you then. Good job, Audrey.
Good job, Adam. Oh,
jinx.
We always say that at the end, and I was like, "Oh, is Adam going to say it first? I'm going to make sure we say it." So, good job, Adam.
Good job, Audrey.
Good job, Steven.
Good job to you too.
All right, we'll talk later.
All right,
thank you.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.